Hello and welcome to another edition of Diplomatic Channel. I'm Amarachi Ubani. This week, with the deadline of Friday, August 8th passed, the US and Russia plan for talks to hold in Alaska in the United States. But European allies and the European Commission insist Ukraine must be part of the talks about peace in Ukraine. Our conversation this week, however, is with immigration lawyer Dayo Fadino on the latest US visa bond, the restrictions on Nigeria and countries in Africa, and why a deportation of migrants from the US worked with Rwanda, despite the UK having proposed a similar plan months ago. That's Diplomatic Channel in a wrap. We'll be right back after a quick check and other discussions in diplomatic circles.
The United Kingdom, Denmark, France, Greece and Slovenia.
Ambassadors at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council have warned Israel about the danger of expanding a military offensive in Gaza. But the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says Israel has no choice but to expand its offensive, alleging that Hamas still has strongholds in Gaza City and the central camps. Speaking on behalf of the United Kingdom, Denmark, France, Greece and Slovenia, the Slovenian permanent representative to the UN urged Israel to urgently reverse its plan.
We condemn the government of Israel's decision to further expand its military operations in Gaza. This plan risks violating international humanitarian law. We call on Israel to urgently reverse this decision and not to implement it.
5 principles for concluding the war.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister has criticized German Chancellor Friedrich Merz for halting arms supplies to Israel and reiterated his demand for Hamas disarmament. He said this during a national address in Jerusalem on Sunday. He also stated reasons why Israel has to occupy Gaza.
The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas, lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will have overriding security responsibility. A security zone will be established on Gaza's border with Israel to prevent future terrorist incursions. A civilian administration will be established in Gaza that will seek to live in peace with Israel. That's our plan for the day after Hamas, and let me summarize it. 5 principles for concluding the war. 1, Hamas disarmed. 2nd, all hostages freed. 3rd, Gaza demilitarized. 4th, Israel has overriding security control. And 5, non-Israeli peaceful civilian administration. By that I mean a civilian administration that doesn't educate its children for terror, doesn't pay terrorists, and doesn't launch terrorist attacks against Israel. That's what we want to see in Gaza. So it's neither Hamas nor the PA. That's our plan. Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas.
Finally, thousands of Ivorians have protested against the exclusion of opposition candidates in the upcoming election and voiced their rejection of President Alassane Ouattara's continued rule. They also demanded the reinstatement of voter registration, as well as the inclusion of former President Laurent Gbagbo, former Prime Minister Guillaume Soro, and former Minister Tidjane Thiam as candidates on the electoral ballot. Welcome back. Russia managed to avoid sanctions from the United States this week, all thanks to an agreement to meet in Alaska this Friday. That meeting was announced by President Donald Trump on social media. It was later confirmed by a Kremlin spokesperson. While the meeting is expected to discuss plans for a ceasefire, Ukraine wants to be a part of it. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that any solutions must include Ukraine. He is being backed by a number of countries in Europe, as well as the European Commission.
The European allies comprising the UK, France, Italy, Germany, Poland, Finland and the European Commission threw their support behind the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ahead of President Trump's meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The White House had said President Trump is willing to hold a trilateral meeting, which would also include the Ukrainian president, but for now it remains a Trump-Putin summit as initially requested by the Russian leader. The U.S. president had previously suggested that he could start by meeting only with Putin, telling reporters he planned to start off with Russia. But President Trump also said that he believed we have a shot at organizing a trilateral meeting with both Putin and Zelensky. It is not clear if the Russian president would agree to this, as he has refused to several opportunities to hold direct talks, and the two leaders have not met face-to-face since the launch of this full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022.
I think needs because he's going to have to get ready to sign.
On Friday, the U.S. president revealed there would be some swapping of territories under a Ukraine peace deal.
Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both. But we'll be talking about that either later or tomorrow or whatever.
This was rejected by the Ukrainian president, who said in his nightly address, "We will not allow this second attempt to partition Ukraine. Knowing Russia, where there is a second, there will be a third. That is why we stand firm on clear Ukrainian positions," adding that the war must end with a dignified peace based on a clear and reliable security architecture.
Пропозиції президента Трампа, починаючи ще від лютого.
In the meantime, the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was in the U.K. on Saturday for a security meeting with the U.K.'s Foreign Secretary David Lammy on ways to end the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Mr. Lammy reiterated the U.K.'s ironclad support for Ukraine, vowing to continue working towards a just and lasting peace.
Welcome back. The U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Richard Mills, and the Nigerian Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Idris Muhammad, have both clarified the new visa measures announced by the U.S. mission in the country and urged compliance. During a briefing in Abuja, the U.S. envoy said he and the minister had very useful and productive discussion about visa laws and how to communicate to the Nigerian people about compliance with the laws. He clarified other issues with the policy in this report.
The United States Embassy in Nigeria, in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, is holding this strategic meeting in Abuja to enhance public awareness on U.S. visa rules. This follows recent changes to visa application procedures announced by the U.S. mission in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and National Orientation harps on Nigeria's commitment to strengthening its ties with the U.S. and work closely to help citizens understand policy changes.
There's a new development, as announced by the U.S. Embassy, regarding changes in its consular responsibilities and visa application procedures. And this indeed has been in the news recently. And I'm sure this is what has informed Ambassador Mills to come to address us this morning. These changes, as explained by the U.S. mission, are part of their own effort to enhance service delivery, improve efficiency, and also respond to evolving consular demands. We appreciate the U.S. government's effort, especially the embassy, to engage with Nigerians directly using this platform.
The U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills, reiterates that visa compliance is a shared responsibility and a pillar of mutual trust and warns against misuse.
Compliance with U.S. visa laws is not just a legal obligation. It is a cornerstone of mutual trust and respect between our two nations. So misuse of visas whether that's not being fully accurate or honest in application procedures or overstaying the legally permitted time to remain in the U.S., can sometimes undermine trust between countries, and more concerning, it can have serious consequences for those who misuse visa laws and for their communities. So that's why both governments want to make sure we get messaging out about U.S. visa laws and how to respect them and honor them.
The session ends with a shared promise to keep Nigerians informed and to foster stronger diplomatic ties through honest communication and respect for the law.
While that was going on, Rwanda has spoken up about the government's decision to accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with the U.S. administration. Now, under the scheme, the deportees will be given workforce training, health care, and accommodation to jumpstart their lives in Rwanda. Government spokesperson Yolande Makolo confirmed this, adding that a condition for the agreement is that Rwanda must have the ability to approve each individual proposed for resettlement. While the White House has not commented on the deal directly, it said it is constantly talking to countries willing to assist in removing the illegal aliens that Joe Biden allowed to infiltrate the U.S. I'm suspecting those are President Trump's words. And let's remember, it was only last month when the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, in an interview here on Channels Television, rejected the idea of being pressured by the Trump administration to accept Venezuelan deportees or third country prisoners from the U.S. So far, the U.S. is also trying to, or has sent migrants to South Sudan and Eswatini. It ties back to a report in July about the administration trying to press 5 African presidents to take in migrants from other countries when they are deported by the United States. The plan then was presented to the presidents of Liberia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, and Gabon during their visit to the White House. Let's talk to immigration lawyer Dayo Fadino, who's here in the studio with me about these issues. Dayo, it's great to see you in person. We've always been talking to you, but it's always been virtual.
Indeed. Thank you.
Welcome to the program. And why do you think the Trump administration wants African countries specifically to take in these migrants, even though, you know, the migrants who are being deported are not even from Africa?
Yes, it's a big surprise, and I'm not too clear of what could be going on with the U.S. government to feel and think that Africa should be the continent where there are unwanted, undocumented, people who have possibly overstayed in the U.S. or who have don't really have any papers, so at least to be able to remain in the U.S. I'm not sure why the U.S. government thinks or feels that these countries should be the countries, that the African countries, where many of these people should be returned to. After all, many of them would not be Africans. They would not really have any clear view as to what they will be doing in Africa. Why the U.S. thinks that Africans and African countries would be willing, ready, and able to accept that kind of deal, I do not know. It's quite strange. Could it be the case that they feel that anything they say to the Africans or African countries, that whether we like it or not, we should abide by it? I don't know. But it's quite a very, very strange thing to do, as far as I'm concerned.
We're off on a short break now. Diplomatic Channel will be right back. Thanks to the minister, in that interview he had here on Channels Television, we really wouldn't have known. And he cried out and said Nigeria will not become a dumping ground for these deportees. We don't even have the resources to take care of them. Yes. How much more? We don't even have resources to take care of our own people. How much more, you know, these deportees. So you think that this could impact or could have impacted on Nigeria's relations with the U.S.? I mean, this is a few weeks after that. What the interview we had was here last month, and then a few weeks later, the U.S. comes out with these visa restrictions, and now they're talking visa bonds. Mm-hmm. Do you think there is a relationship?
There could be. There could be a relationship, no doubt. And the U.S., being the U.S., they always feel that when it comes to developing countries, they could lay out conditions, and they would then make us understand the fact that you need to accept these conditions or else threats, because of the fact that they feel that the US feels it's a world power. Fine. So there could be that angle, no doubt, but it's very, very clear, and it should be said very clearly and unambiguously that no African country, and I think Nigeria did well in this instance by making them understand the fact that, look, we cannot take any refugees from Venezuela. We have our own problems. We need to deal with our own problems. And by the way, why should any African country be taking in migrants from different countries who are, some of them are very, very serious serial offenders, criminals, drug addicts, rapists. If America can't deal with those people, why should it be the case that it should be the African countries that should be taking in?
Why do they think African prisons are better?
Are better, you know, and besides, it's not even a question of the African prisons being better. It's a question of why would you, because they would expect us to rehabilitate these criminals, and these are hardened criminals, drug addicts, you know, rapists, you know, possibly terrorists. Right. So why would you now want to force those kind of people on Nigeria or any African country for that matter? So it's very, very, it should be very, very clear, and it should be that the drum should be banged very, very heavily that we cannot be used as a dumping ground for such undocumented migrants. And it's good that our government actually made it very clear that we're not going to be actually accepting those kind of people.
Well, speaking of repercussions, perhaps the new restrictions the U.S. says is targeted at curbing overstays in the U.S. because they found that a lot of Nigerians do overstay their visas. The 3-month single entry affects those in the B1, B2 category, the B1, B2 visas, the student visa, the J exchange visa categories. They're all limited to 3-month single entry. Nigerians believe that this is punitive, given how much the country has, how much relationship that goes on between the two of them. The fact that the U.S. is building its largest consulate in the world here in Lagos. I mean, we didn't expect, you know, this from the United States. But then how do people navigate that? Because there are lots of rejections at the embassies. I'm hearing, you know, people who, those who are applicants who are trying to get U.S. visas, there are lots of rejections at this time. And then getting, you know, interview dates is almost impossible because we're looking at, you know, a lot of backlog leading to post dates, say by next year or in the next 2 years. How do Nigerians navigate that? Because people still have to travel for legitimate purposes.
Yes, people have to travel for legitimate purposes, and they need to travel. They would have to travel to countries like the US, the UK, and so many other countries, and they need to travel for studies, you know, for business. Well, my strong advice really would be this: we should not allow the US, no matter how big that country is, to bully and intimidate Africans. All what they could do at this point, many Africans, is instead of applying to for visas, for US visas, they should. There are so many other countries that they could actually do the same with. You know, there are so many other countries who are willing and ready and able to issue visas for Nigerian students who want to study. They should not concentrate on the US alone. They should concentrate on other countries, other European countries, Australia. European countries, although Britain is also becoming also a little bit tough these days, but not just concentrate on the US. They should be doing business with other countries, studying in other countries, and not allow just one country to be, you know, that tit for tat thing, to be retaliative and to be punitive, just because of the fact that the African countries are not listening to them, or do not want to do business with them, or do what they want us to do. We should not allow that to happen. We should concentrate on other countries and see what we could actually do with other countries instead of the US.
Well, you know, the other alternatives for Nigeria is the UK and Canada and they have also started, clamping down on immigration policies. Even the UK is beginning to reconsider study visas and people coming to the UK to study. What really is a solution, for immigration problems generally, in whether it's the US or it's the UK or it's Canada or even Nigeria, because we do have people coming into this country undocumented.
Yes. Well, I think one good, clear solution to this, we should fix our country. Bottom line, we should fix our own education system. We should fix our infrastructure. We should start doing things. We've got the population. We've got the resources. We've got so many things working for us. Why do we have to continue concentrating, all our energy on wanting to go abroad to study, for instance? We should fix our own universities, fix our institutions, and make our institutions the best of the best in the world. If that is done, our students would not need to travel abroad to go and study. They would not need to say they want to actually go by hook or crook, go and do business in America, because that's the only place that they could do business, or do business in Canada or the UK. If we could just put together, get ourselves together and fix our country, fix what we have, fix the wealth we have, and make use of that wealth to develop ourselves instead of concentrating and trying to and going to other countries for study or for work or for business.
Well, some people would say it's because you live in the UK. That's why you say that, because you have already immigrated. Some other people have dreams of living outside of, Nigeria. It is a dream of theirs. It is a desire. So I guess the advice here will be to do it through legal means, right?
Well, through legal means, yes. But you see, the legal means, the legal means that you've just mentioned in itself, they are tightening up all rules for people to want to come to the UK, or to go to Canada, or to go to the US, or even Australia these days. And when that's the case of tightening the rules, not wanting people to actually come to their countries any longer, honestly, the only option we would then have, Nigeria, Ghana, or any other African country for that matter, these are the only countries we have as Africans. We should do our own thing, develop our own country, make our countries the pride of the world, where people would not even want to travel at all. I take your point, yes, I've been in the UK for so many years. People could be saying that, well, it's good for you. You've done well and all the rest of it. You've lived in the UK, but my experience with immigration matters over the years, and the stress and the problems people even go through to come into the UK or to so many of these other countries, and the problems they face in the UK. I mean, the UK is not quite a rosy place to be. The majority of people who go there are not particularly very happy. I mean, you have people who are suffering from serious depression, been in the UK because of the problems they're actually going through in the UK. There's always this nostalgia of wanting to go back. I'm coming back home regularly right now. I've been there for so many years. It's got to a point in my life right now where, honestly, I'm not particularly, so very happy and elated about the UK any longer. Hence the reason why I want to start coming back home regularly. I should have done this so many years ago, because Nigeria is my home, and I should do my best to be able to at least make a difference by coming back home.
I think you should speak very quickly about, the people who want to come back home. And I know that the local slang for that is Jakwada. Those who wish to come back home. I've seen a number of people who have posted on social media their plans to come back home. Some said they have regretted it. Some said, what advice do you have for people who have thoughts about coming back home?
Coming back to Africa?
Returning back to Nigeria or to their countries.
Well, my advice would be, before you actually go down that path, have a game plan. Even if it's the case that you're working or you're doing business in the UK, because I know the UK, and I believe that would also apply to so many other countries, Canada, America. have a game plan, do what you need to do, plan what you want to actually do when you come back home, save enough money to be able to invest in what you want to actually do back home, you know. Don't just decide to pick up your bags and leave, but it's something you could actually put in place. That game plan you could put in place and lay out very, very clearly as to what you want to do. And honest, when the time then comes, come back home.
Dayo Fadino, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining us on Diplomatic Channel.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's the program today. Should you have thoughts or comments, don't forget to drop them in the section on YouTube or any of the social media handles showing on your screen. I'm Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.